We are in the middle of the process or the time which is called Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. And the purpose of Sfirat HaOmer is to bring godliness down into the animal soul, which means that we're in the process of changing ourselves. That's the ideal. We're supposed to change ourselves. How do you change yourself? So every day you're supposed to recognize that God is not only the creator of the universe, but you're supposed to recognize the greatness of God and that God is above all finite qualities. God is infinite. And everything that you see is really an expression of God's infinite power and included in God's infinite power. Two factors: the greatness of God and the wondrousness of God's creation, and as wondrous as they are included and one with God's power, God's oneness. That's the focus and the purpose of prayer. And this awareness of the greatness of God is what is revealed on the first night of Passover. And then afterwards, subsequently, we have to begin changing our nature to absorb this lesson within ourselves, to sense this within ourselves, that God's power is within us, making us. And by recognizing this, we change the selfish nature of the components of our persona. Every aspect of our persona, our love, our judgment, our compassion, are all supposed to be inspired and filled with this awareness that everything there is for a higher purpose, for God's purpose. The purpose of our giving tzedakah isn't so that we feel good, although it makes you feel good. You out there, give tzedakah, you'll feel better, you'll live longer. But the reason you give tzedakah is not so you should feel good. It's so you should be part of the process of the kindness that God extends to you and to the rest of the world. We are alive through God's kindness. God doesn't get anything back from it except the pleasure of seeing us, his creatures, alive. So too, we should be part of that process of giving life and giving spiritual life for the continuity of God's people. And that's the process of Sfirat HaOmer. Now, during Sfirat HaOmer, there is a serious time. Kabbalistically, this is a serious time because we are not completely in tune and aware of God's essence. It's only intellectual. It's only feeling things and sensing things and being aware through the medium of intelligence. But the essence of God is elusive. The essence of God is beyond the intellect, beyond the governing power of creation. The essence of God is what we want, and that can only be revealed at the time of the giving of the Torah. And so, this is a very serious time because not only do we wish to be inspired and see the greatness of God in our prayers, we also want to connect to God himself. And the experience of connection to God himself only comes during the holiday of Shavuot. On Pesach, our ideas, our awareness is filled with this idea that God is the originator, and that's wisdom. The wisdom shines through, but the essence of God, of what God really is, that we don't get until the holiday of Shavuot. But one of the reasons why we actually consider this a very serious, in fact, a mourning period, is because of the persona of Rabbi Akiva and the tragedy of the loss of his 24,000 students. And I know that the tradition is that the 24,000 students did not give each other honor, and because they did not honor each other, they didn't have respect for the other because they thought that the other should listen to them. Each person thought he was the source that everybody else should listen to, and because of that they created conflict. I think it's more of a hint that Rabbi Akiva was involved in the Bar Kokhba revolution. Bar Kokhba was the man who was proclaimed as the Messiah, and Rabbi Akiva was the champion of that movement. And Rabbi Akiva's students participated in the battles against the Romans, and in fact they were successful. But as Julius Severus, the Roman general, started a guerrilla warfare against the kingdom of Judea that was renewed by Shimon Bar Kokhba, the supplies started getting cut off. And once that happened, the people, the soldiers, the officers, began to bicker with each other as to what is the cause of their problems. And they could not get a resolution because each one thought that he was right. So it is my contention, my belief, that the plague was actually the plague that came from Rome, and that the students were killed in battle. But the cause of their deaths was their inability to unite and focus singularly upon the task at hand. Each one had a different idea, and that proved out to be tragic. And so, we'll talk about this in the future, the concept of why Rabbi Akiva believed as he did, and what relevance does it have for today. But it wasn't just that they did not stand up for each other. It was that they discounted each other's opinion. In dealing with life, each one of us is endowed with intelligence, inspiration, insight, and we cannot discount the other person's perspective. We must learn as a people to unite and to absorb and to create a singularity out of the many perspectives that exist. Unfortunately, today, the only opinion that counts is the opinion of those who are well-heeled in cash. The position of those who see things spiritually is not sought out, and if it's sought out, it's discounted. And what we need a unity of our people, of all the perspectives, and the purpose of which has to be to get us to Mount Sinai, to get us to the awareness of God himself.